welcome to a Gen Mouse 45 video, where today I will be discussing books, more likely clinical books, that I use during my time as a licensed graduate marriage and family therapist. I made a video several years ago when I was an intern, and what books and resources I used throughout my internship that better helped my work with clients. But now I wanted to take a moment, as I'm finishing up my LG, working towards the licensed clinical marriage and family therapist, I wanted to take a moment to talk about books that helped me through that process. I'll be looking down at my notes, I'll be looking off to the side of the books and everything like that, but also please note I'm not sponsored by any of the author, publishers, whoever. I just wanted to help out anyone who needed some book recommendations. I do have some family-related books that I used, yet I also have some books that I used with individuals as well. So starting out with book number 1, this was actually one of the first books I bought as an LG, and this one is Counseling and Psychotherapy with Arabs and Muslims, a Culturally Sensitive Approach by Marwan Dwairy. I'm sorry if I say names wrong, I'm so sorry. But yes, this was one of the first books I got. I'm so excited because I'm interested in learning more about Muslim and Arab cultures, especially after studying for the national exam. I have a separate video about that. The book provides history and individual, systemic, and community considerations when working with Muslim and Arab families. It also provides how to do assessment, be culturally sensitive about assessment, providing psychoeducation, and building a stable rapport built on respect, and be more knowledgeable and aware. Of course, keep researching through other books, research articles. I think that applies to everything, but especially when dealing with culturally sensitive approaches. Yeah, it's a good book to start out with, especially since I have worked with families and individuals within these cultures in the past, and I was starting to work with some as an LG, so I want to keep working in the future when I'm an LC, so this was a good book to add to the bookshelf. After studying from the exam, it was just I want to learn a bit more, so this was the book to start it all. Some of these books, the next couple ones are going to be more individually based. I noticed when I was an intern, I had a lot of families and couples I was working with. Of course, I had to get relational hours as an LG MFT. I noticed I started working with individuals, adults, and children, and teens especially, because that's my cup of tea and all that. So I started primarily solution focused. However, I started looking into more acceptance and commitment therapy, because when I was talking to someone once, they're oh, you might need one of those cognitive behavioral type of things, either CBT, DBT, or ACT. So I did some researching online, and I feel ACT stuck out to me the most. So I was I need a book on this, of course. So I picked up The Happiness Trap by Russ Harris. So yeah, I wanted a thought behavioral therapy to use, especially with clients diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorders. The book provides an overview of acceptance commitment therapy, or ACT, gives different interventions to use and what to do when those interventions backfire. A great way to provide psychoeducation with clients, such as teaching about more of mindfulness techniques and the importance of values. I do want to create an ACT handout to use with clients, and then bring that to each session to help them learn more about their thoughts, do the help in person, and let them use metaphors that would help them understand their thoughts a bit more. And then sometimes I wonder if it's easier to read on paper than applying these concepts and everything, but I feel with gentle pressure and then reassurance to just keep practicing, to keep doing the work, clients can then blossom with these interventions, taking a moment to acknowledge thoughts, accept the thought in their own way, and then determine what to do with the thought, to let it go or find out does it apply to their values, and if they find the thought helpful to them. And I will mention too, there's another book that he wrote. I saw another clinician had it as ACT Made Simple, and it's by Russ Harris, the same author as The Happiness Trap. So I went to Amazon and I bought it for myself because I was curiosity, I want to read. With that book, I'm maybe halfway through, maybe a little bit more than halfway, somewhere around in there. But that one has more interventions, things you can work with clients. There's a little graph But if a client's stuck, you use these interventions. If the client's doing good, you use these interventions. So still reading. It also has like different scripts you can use. Of course, you can modify that to however you might word things. And sometimes the authors suggest that the reader like do the interventions. Like at the end, there's like a little homework session for you to do, and then like, you know, like take a few days to like let the information just sit and simmer. It's like you read it, you applied it, now just let it sit for a while. And it's like, it's gonna take all year to read. And also with the Act Made Simple book, there's like more handouty, so you can like make copies of everything and then like use that with clients. So I thought that's very nice. I like when books do that. This is so easy. This one's got a lot of sticky notes. Even though it's a very short book, I probably read this in like 5 days maybe. But this is the Intrusive Thoughts Toolkit, Quick Relief for Obsessive, Unwanted, and Disturbing Thoughts. This is by John Hershfield, Seif et al. There's multiple authors here to help out. This is a quick guide of how to deal with intrusive thoughts. It's helpful with anxiety, depression, and OCD. This book was recommended to me by a colleague. It goes through the different types of thoughts, how to deal with thoughts, and then more specific types of anxieties, such as, you know, the common thinking traps. It's a good way to provide psychoeducation with clients. Sometimes I pull the book out in session, read the chapter, and have the client talk about the different points or paragraphs. So, you know, we'll read for a little bit. If I see them like nodding, or they're like, like, ooh, let's talk about that. How did that resonate with you? So, but it's part of the ACT method and does a quick checklist of how clients can work to measure their thoughts. I usually recommend clients to buy this book so they can use it at home and like other points in their life. So I do recommend like them getting it. You know, if they start to like have like anxious thoughts, anxious worries and everything, they can just pull the book. I feel like it's also like a good grounding tool too, because then they're like feeling the book, they're, you know, their mind's trying to figure out like, where is that chapter, how do we cognitive diffuse and all this stuff. So it's definitely very good, very handy to have. I have book number 4, which is Overcoming Unwanted Intrusive Thoughts, a cognitive-based guide to getting over frightening, obsessive, or disturbing thoughts. This was written by Sally Winston and Martin Seif. Again, sorry about last names, folks. This was also recommended to me by the same colleague who recommended the Intrusive Thoughts Toolkit. However, when I borrowed it the first time, it was like much smaller than this, and when I pulled it out of like the case when I got and stuff, I'm like, why is this one so much bigger? Turns out I got the large print edition. Can't miss anything with this book. So I was like, oh, oops, I misread. So, but that's fine. That is a-okay. So what was different about this book than the other books was the authors take the time to like go over the different voices that folks have, which is the worried voice, the false comfort voice, and the wise voice. And I think somebody shared the other day, there's like a therapist aid worksheet, hashtag not sponsored, but hashtag love therapist aid. Yeah, they have like a helpful worksheet that kind of goes through like the different voices, and then you can use that worksheet with clients. I think they have different names for it. I'm blanking now, but it's the same principle. Like, how do you address these different voices? What do they sound like? What are you doing when those voices happen? So, also my cat's here. Everyone say hello to Oliver. The halls are warm. You want to jump on? Go ahead. Manager on duty. Being supervised. Hey, sweetie. Let's see, Ollie, what else we got? So it goes through the different types of thoughts by explaining the thoughts, then going through a brief case example. Other chapters include a brief Q&A about intrusive thoughts and myths about intrusive thoughts that can provide psychoeducation for clients. So if you have a client that's like, oh, like, these thoughts don't matter, like, I have to control these thoughts and all that, then you can just like pull it out and be like, well, actually, research says. So that's very nice. So then after it does all that, towards like the middle-ishy part of the book, the authors provide interventions to combat intrusive thoughts and a 6-step to reduce distress over thoughts called RJAFTP. Couldn't have made it like something nice, like the Soothe one. I'm going to talk about that in the other video. But the acronym stands for Realize, Just Thoughts, Accept and Allow, Float and Feel, let time pass and proceed. And it goes through each one. I usually make a copy for clients, and I forewarn them, I'm like, it might be a very large print. Very, very large print. I make copies for the clients, and then we go over in session, and then like ask for like any recent examples. Like, was there any time this week where, you know, you had intrusive thoughts, worrying thoughts, disturbing thoughts? And then we go through the acronym with that. Then I have them practice and then check in. Sometimes with teens, I have found that coming up with like a fun acronym using their favorite shows or fandoms, whatever they're into, to help them relate to that moment and write it down. So they could use like their favorite characters' names, like, oh, how would this character like realize like they're having a thought? How would they let time pass? Different things like that. Let's see. Again, clients may be skeptical at first about the method, but let them know that if they want to gain control over their thoughts, be able to identify when they have a thought, to then slow down and process, and then be able to think through the thought, and then gently let go of the thought, they can then start to gain a sense of peace. That's what we all want in life, is just peace. I gotta make these. Here we go. Yeah. It's a pretty good book, so I've read most of it. I think it's like chapter 7 is like where the acronym is and stuff. I like always revisit that, and then like remind clients like, oh, when you realize you have your thought, what's the next step? Oh, and then we gotta up next. Big chunky book. They're all pretty chunky, except for the intrusive toolbox, or not toolbox, toolkit. This one is Taking Charge of ADHD, The Complete Authoritative Guide for Parents by Dr. Russell Barkley. This was actually recommended to me by a parent. I saw she was reading it, and I was like, ooh, what you reading? So, yeah. I've heard a lot of good things about Dr. Barkley, and I also want to point out, too, I'm only halfway through the book. Like, where the sticky note is, that's where I'm at. So, I'm hoping by the end of the year, I'll be done reading. So far, the book, I'll talk about what the book has so far, which was understanding what is ADHD, the evaluations for ADHD, and then now it's starting to go through like interventions and medications with ADHD. There's lots of research studies and helpful resources, like websites and book recommendations. I have like for me, I have like a PDF file, like all the different diagnoses in the DSM-5, and then whenever I see like a helpful website or an organization or something, I just like pop it in there, and I've been finding a lot in here, so it's been very, very helpful. So then I can go tell parents or other folks. So let's see. I feel like there are a lot of relatable moments and way parents can prepare with materials and like mental strength when working with professionals or managing their child with ADHD. My goal, again, is to finish this by the end of the year, and then recommend to other parents with children diagnosed with ADHD to add it to their bookshelf and toolkit. So now we're getting into the family therapy books, but it's going to be more play therapy because I have another video coming out here soon that's going to be about play therapy books that I've used. But let's start with Play in Family Therapy. This is the 2nd edition by Eliana Gill. Dr. Gill here. This was a quick and fun read. Like, literally, it was so fun to read this book and, like, you know, just seeing, like, the different systemic pieces and then, like, all these, like, different little case scenarios and stuff. Like, I really enjoy, like, how Dr. Gill writes. So I think she wrote every single one. Yeah. I really like how Dr. Gill writes. I'm, like, such a fangirl of hers. She's so cool in my opinion. So, with this book, it goes through non-direct and direct play therapy, and then like different family therapy modalities and how play therapy can be incorporated. Family play therapy can help children and parents find ways to interact in a safe and fun environment to develop communication and connection with one another. So this is helpful for me because, you know, I have a few cases. I'll probably definitely have cases in the future where I'll have to incorporate family play therapy interventions and techniques and everything. So it's good to know the purpose and like how to provide family play therapy. And the last half is mostly like, you know, like little stories of like kiddos and how they incorporated family play therapy. Sorry, he's moving a lot. And everything, which I just looked at, like, what did the play therapist ask? You know, what kind of specific interventions did they use? So far, my favorites have been family scribble and anything to do with a sand tray. Love sand tray. But my hope is one day with the family therapy case to do the family aquarium. I think that would be a lot of fun. And storytelling and metaphors. Yes, we like fish. A big fan of fish. I'm going to show both books, but I'm just going to hold one at a time. But I don't like how it's backwards. Let me see. So this one, I'll start with this one. This is philia therapy. I need to say this a bunch because I used it a lot during my studies at Capella University. I'm going to put that down. But we'll start with this one. So this one is a book about philia therapy, which is like family play therapy, but it's strengthening parent-child relationships through play. This is by, I think it's Rise Van Fleet, and it's the 3rd edition. The other one's a handbook written by the same person, and I'll get to that here in a second. So I learned more about this modality during my studies at Capella University to become a certified play therapist and all that, get the training hours. And I know it's mostly going to be about play therapy, but I feel like it still fits in the family therapy category, so let's see. So with philia play therapy, this specific book goes through each stage and session and what to cover. It was not until the last few pages that a more structured approach was given, which would have helped at the start. Maybe that's just me. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm like reading. I'm like trying to keep in my mind, like, oh, like this session I need to do this and I need to ask that. And then towards the end of the book, I was like, yeah, there's like a chart thing until I bookmarked it. But it like shows like, you know, session 1, you want to do this, session 2, you do that. And all this different stuff. So it wasn't until then, and I was like, gosh darn. But then it was nice because I went back, and then you'll notice there's like numbers on the side here, and these are the page numbers that will then go into depth of like what to ask, what to say during that specific session. So that was a little bit tasking, but then towards the end, I'm like, I'm actually kind of glad I did that because now I can just flip to the page number and be like, okay, let's review this type of thing. So most of the book goes through the goals of the therapy, provides an overview, how to do assessment, and also with how to set limits and how to get parents comfortable with setting limits. Most sessions start with the therapist and the child playing, and then the parents will play with the child later on. Then sessions with just the therapist and the parent playing as the parent plays as the child, and then the therapist helps correct like anything that the parents need to work on. Then the parents and child play in session, the therapist is just there kind of observing, and then it transitions to home sessions, with just the parent and the child playing. But of course the therapist is always assessment. Assessment is ongoing. That's what I learned during studying the exam. Even to this day as an LG, probably definitely as an LC. Assessment is ongoing. Let's see. Some parents may not be on board with family play therapy, and we don't force anybody to do that. But, you know, you have to always provide like the why. Like, why do family play therapy? Why do that modality? And it's because, you know, play is how children communicate, and the parents can learn more about their children through play. Sometimes you have to make the sessions work the best way you can. It'd be nice to incorporate them. So, but sometimes you gotta work it out the best you can. So parents may be like, I don't feel like playing and all this stuff. So might just be like, okay, so you just sit there and track what your child does, see if your child incorporates you. So different things like that. So then that's when the handbook comes in handy. Waiting for that. Let's see, I'm gonna find this page number real quick. Bookmark. So with the handbook, you know, it kind of goes through like bird's eye view, very brief synopsis of what family therapy is and stuff. I would love to like one day just order like 20 of these, and whenever I do family play therapy, just give a copy to the parents and be like, here you go. Here's everything you need to know. What's going to be in the sessions. But for now, I've just been photocopying pages 23 through 32, which is definitely a lot. But this is teaching the skills that they're going to learn during the family play therapy sessions, and then what they're going to apply at home. So usually I'll take like half the session, depends on how sessions work, you know, how it is, scheduling, yeah. So I have the parents go over the information, I cover everything, see if they have questions and all that. They take it home, they can read it. I usually encourage them, like, you know the notes app in your phone? Like, just like, you know, put like the questions in there, like your key takeaways from the session, and then just like take notes after from the session, like what went well, what needs improved, stuff like that. Great, so I actually have one more book for this video, and I was debating adding it on because I actually talked about it in the interim book review video, whatever you want to call that. But it's actually, I'll show you. The Working with Adolescents, A Guide for Practitioners by Julie Ann Laser and Nicole Nicotera. However, this is the second edition. This came out in 2021, the year I graduated from National University. It's funny, because at the time I was just using the first edition, probably 2019 until like 2024. Years are going by too quick. Yeah, I'd say beginning of 2024, because what happened was after a few months of being LG, like I think around the spring and stuff, I think it was like recommended, I forget what it was. I don't know if it was like recommended on Amazon or if I like saw it somewhere, but it was like, oh, there's like a new edition, second edition's out, and I'm like, I gotta get it and like basically read it all over again, which is fine. Sometimes it's good to reread things. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So I get the second edition, and what this one goes through is there's newer statistics for like substance use, phone safety, COVID-19 concerns that happen and changes with adolescents. The format is still the same, which is good. I like it when people stick with the same formatting, especially since it works out so well. Which is going over like adolescent development, and then going through like the different like areas such as family, school, social media, and then just goes over other information to consider and provides psychoeducation on when working with adolescents. It's good to get the upgrade, you know, the new research and information that occurred over the years. So I don't know when the other one was written, but I know like research has definitely changed over time. So yeah, it's good to go. So when I like pulling this out in session, I'm like, this is a book all about you guys, all about you teens. And I flip to the back and I'm just like, what do you guys want to talk about? Family, sleep. Thank you. But it's definitely a good book to have, especially if you want to work with teens and you're nervous about working with teens. This will equip you on how to work with teens, because as an intern, working with teens scared me. Now, I'm not scared of you. It's good to be knowledgeable. So hopefully those books, you know, seem to help. I don't think I can get it out of the shot. That's okay. Yeah, so hopefully those books are helpful. They definitely helped me, you know, with being LG. I still got a couple months to go until I can apply for LC. That'll be so exciting. I do have several more books, and even journal articles to read. I probably have quite the extensive list of books to read, but I thought this was like a nice collection of books to cover, and hope that others add to like their resource library, especially if you're a family therapist looking to work with depression, anxiety, OCD, things like that, working with adolescents. These were some pretty good books. I enjoyed reading them. I just enjoy reading in general. What am I talking about? I don't think I've ever really one book. It was years and years ago. I remember reading and I was like, oh, I don't read this. But anything else that I read for this field, I'm just like, ooh, let me read. Add to cart. Bye. I think I got like 3 more books on the way. Most of those are play therapy books, which I'm going to explain future vid here soon. Yeah, so I'll post a separate video about the books I used for play therapy, and hope you all get a chance to check that out as well. But thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully you got something out of it. Let me know if there are like, you know, clinical books, family therapy related books that you recommend clinicians to read about, check out, use with clients and stuff like that. You just add to cart. Add to cart. So, but yeah, it's been fun getting to read. Sometimes I get to read with a kitty cat on my lap. Very relaxing. So, okay, so hopefully you enjoyed this video. Maybe check out the play therapy video if you're interested in play therapy. I am. Talk about it all day. So, I just want to say, you know, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you're taking care, staying safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.